So, just taking it back a bit, how did you get into design? And how did your career begin before you became this famous systems designer?
Well, that really gives me a lot of space to fill to get all the way to famous designer. I'm not sure if I'm even there yet, but my
Well,
journey
my
to
bar of
design.
famous, my bar of famous is Twitter followers. So if someone has more followers on Twitter, then they're more famous. Which I'm not sure how accurate that is, but
Yeah, yeah, I wouldn't count on it. But my journey to design, as I think a lot of folks in this space would say, was kind of not linear. I didn't study design in school. I studied art and sociology, and like I think you could draw a connection there if you tried. Um, but from
it
there,
probably, yeah. I mean, it probably is. I mean, because design does come from art, right? I mean, it's like a child
yeah,
of art.
I think that's another thing that I've opinions on, like the relationship between art and design and where and how much they overlap. But that's what I studied. I eventually got into design just because that was both, it was something that I was interested in, and one of my first jobs out of college was working at an experiential marketing place, and that led me to getting into like interactive displays and things like that. So those were like the first interactive things that I really designed. And then from there, I just started trying to make things for the devices I was using, and that led me to Android, and then that led me to um, technology generally, like exploring other platforms, which then led me to a job in New York where I was building for phones and sidewalk kiosks and
Oh,
kitchen
cool.
appliances and shoes.
So was you just designing the UI for the apps with that, or actually designing the products themselves?
Mostly the UI.
And
Um,
so that's almost like service design type things because you're kind of how people, I don't know, buy shoes, I suppose. Which is
yeah,
an interesting field within itself because it just takes the experience starts outside of digital and then meets in digital, then it leaves digital. So I always
yep,
find that quite interesting.
yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool. But one thing you said was Android. A lot of designers have no idea about Android. Like they basically try to take iOS patterns and just color them in Android material design style. But did you actually have like a background of Android stuff prior to your eventual job that where you work now?
Yeah, my first, I guess like my first real smartphone was an Evo 4G. I remember at the time, like I was on a Palm Centro before that, and I thought that
Yeah,
was like the coolest thing ever. But then like smartphones started coming out, and like touch screens became,
yeah, yeah.
or at least capacitive touch screens became a big deal. And I remember at the time, like it was time for me to upgrade my phone, and I was looking, and I looked at iPhones because I knew tons of people with iPhones, obviously. But then I was like, everybody I know has iPhones, like I want to try something else. So then I was looking at the
Yeah.
Android phones, and I had no clue really about Android at the time. But I picked up the Evo, and then from there, I started getting into like the customization scene, which was huge back then, like installing custom
Yeah.
ROMs and themes and
What
all that
what
stuff.
year was this then, roughly speaking?
Um,
2010 times, or was it a bit earlier than that?
I would say it was probably about 2010, yeah, maybe
Yeah.
like in the summer or fall.